We're talking about understanding. Understanding is the supreme knowing of God or of divine mind. And in understanding, I'm able to comprehend and use the wisdom that is given me. Able to comprehend and use the wisdom that is given me. And sometimes I get caught up in my own mind trying to figure it out. Have any of you been there over the last 12 hours trying to figure it all out? I was telling somebody this morning, I turned a minute of news on and then I went, Because that's what was going on out there. Everybody was trying to figure it out and put their slant on what happened. And I'm like, well, number one, as I used to tell my two boys when they were growing up, if you weren't there, you don't know. So just be. It's interesting to me this morning that I came to talk about this amazing center, but there's a mirror here. A little bit. There's places of healing that are needed right now. And so remember that another interesting thing that happened this morning, and I thought this is another place for understanding. I had a question by the music team of, is it okay if we sing the word Lord? And I went, well, is it okay with you? And yes, there may be some people that don't understand what that word is, so I'm going to give you a little bit of understanding. The word Lord was translated into our English Bibles as the word Lord. It wasn't written in English. In fact, it was written in several different languages and translated 5 or 6 different times, and it finally got to English. The word Lord, really, if it was translated straight from the Aramaic, is law. L-A-W. Wow. Trust the law with all your might. Trust the law, that the law is always working out there. Do you see how that creates a different understanding? Because if you're thinking you're trusting somebody out there that's separate from you sometimes, and we even say here, well, everything that is God is flowing through us, but sometimes that gets a little convoluted, doesn't it? It's like, it's really the law, universal law, the energy that created everything. We're trusting that that energy has got it all, even when it doesn't look right to us, even when we're questioning and going, what's really going on out there? Now, remember these laws. Charles Fillmore and Ernest Holmes created spiritual communities with them, but they didn't start with them. They started with the Kabbalion. That was actually beginning to be downloaded and spoken about way before Jesus, the master teacher, was ever born. Now, it actually was put in print in 1908, in print. Now think about that. What happens when things are put in print? Any of you ever studied a foreign language and then had to try to translate into English what's being said? There's one of the beautiful practitioners that I have just fallen in love with at CSLN is from Germany. And so when we will have a meeting sometimes, she will call me later and go, Denise, this is what I heard, and when I translated it in my mind into German, this is what I'm understanding. Is this really right? You see? It's like we have read a lot of this English version Bible and even many different translations and went, this is what Jesus said. He didn't speak English. He didn't. And even the things that were written down then were not written in English. And then they came through several different languages, and we ended up with what we say is the Word of God. Wow. Well, there's probably some pieces of that that are true. But then there's some mistranslations along the way. So if you've ever struggled with the word God, or if you've ever struggled with the word Lord, it's really the law. It's really what it is. We've translated it so that we can kind of understand it a little bit better. And so I think there's a slide there for me. When we start, I made these slides because it was either that or run off a lot of paper for you all over the next few weeks, and I thought I'm not going to do that. But here's where we started last week. That unity says that there's one presence and one power in my life, in your life, and in all the universe, God, the good, omnipotent. Religious science says we believe in the living Spirit of God, the absolute cause of everything we see. That's what we say we believe, right? So know that I want you all to talk for a moment. And you're like, oh Lord, what's she going to make us talk about today? Well, let's start with something easy because I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 different questions to talk about. Start with what's going on with you around these principles, these first principles, and how they show up in your life and when you struggle to use them. Go. So pause just one little moment in your conversation, and I'm going to add a little twist to it. How do these principles work with what happened over the last 12 hours? Go. That's a bigger question. So let's pull back in a little bit closer to the chest. And one more question here. How do these principles work in what's going on within this spiritual community right now? Go. How do these principles work in what's going on in this spiritual community presently? So, let's come back together for a moment. If you've moved to talk to somebody, stay there because there's going to be another piece here in just a moment. Aren't you excited? We're going to dig deep today into this because we say we believe these. And last night when I saw what came across the television screen and I started listening, I was like, okay, there's one presence and one power. So what is going on? What is going on? And how do we get there? So you've got another slide for me. The thing I want you to know about all these 12 powers, and you may have been told this or you may have not, but they all work together. Some Sunday morning I'll explain that whole process because, have you got the other one there? Because they work in the way that they're called into your body. Some of you may remember going to Sunday school 100 years ago and singing a little song, Jesus called them one by one, Peter, Andrew, James, and John, la da 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 da. Anybody ever went to Vacation Bible School and sang that? Yes. Well, they were sung in a way, in a way that they're called into your body. Now, I don't know if the person who wrote that song knew that, but I can tell you going through ministerial school, when we had to answer questions, you would hear us all going, na, 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 so we could write it all down. You know. These work together, but they also work in teams of 2. Understanding and will work together. Understanding is a feminine quality. Will is a masculine quality. That doesn't mean that you women deal with understanding and you men deal with will. Even though that's the way we show up sometimes. It means that you have feminine and masculine qualities inside yourself. And so what I have to remember when I'm dealing with something that I'm not understanding, I have to go into that place of being silent and being open to receive. The feminine is open to receive information and downloads. The masculine is willing to take that information and push it out into the world and create something different. Wouldn't that be something? If what all went on in the last 12 hours, we were able to sit in the silence, be willing to receive the information, the downloads from Spirit, instead of listening to the news and going, okay, maybe that's right. No, I'm not sure. And then allow the masculine energy that is within us to know what is ours to do next. Wow. So the second principle is we are inherently good because God's divinity is in everyone. In everyone. No matter what side of the political world you're on, it doesn't say because God's divinity is only in one section of that. It says it's in everyone. It doesn't say that it's in everyone except for the person who shot a gun. It said it's in everyone. And religious science, their explanation is all people are individualizations of the one Spirit. We're all showing up as the one Spirit. It's our human mind that goes, oh, that's good, and that's bad, and that's awful, and he needs to be thrown, and somebody needs to... That divinity is within every one of us. So, your first question is, with the person beside you, where do I have a hard time remembering that? Go. Yeah, let's laugh first and then answer the question. So let's pause just a moment, and you may already be talking about this, but apply what question I ask you to the situation over the last 12 hours. Apply it to that. Where do I have a problem understanding that everybody in that scenario is divine? And so let's pull it one more level back in closer to the chest again. How do I have a problem or an issue remembering this when it comes to this spiritual community? What does that look like for you? So I can see I've opened up a can of worms, right? Yeah. And it's all God and it's all good. It is. Because these are the conversations I want us to have in the future in this community. Yeah, we're going to be going through some healing processes first. Said, I'm going to go on a pilgrimage several miles. Will you come with me? Because I'm going to pray rain. And Greg says in the book that he kind of wondered what that really meant, but he thought, I'm game, I'm going with you. So think about starting to rummage out in towards the desert with a Native American man. And Greg said he was having a hard time even keeping up. But they finally get several miles away to a desert place where there is a medicine wheel in the middle. And the chief said, you stand here, I'm going to pray rain. And so he walks into the medicine wheel in the way that he needs to and gets to the center. And what Greg talks about in the book is that he saw him stand there with his hands out and his eyes closed for many, many minutes. Many, many minutes. And he heard nothing. He said, I expected to see a dance. I expected to see a song. I expected to hear some drums. I expected to see something. All I saw was someone standing. And he said, after a period of time, the chief ended, came out of the medicine wheel, and came over to him and said, we're ready to go back now. And Greg said, I thought you said you were going to pray for rain. The guy said, no. I said I was going to pray rain. There's a difference. All I did was stand and feel what it would feel like for rain to to fall. What it would feel like for rain to come onto my body. What it would sound like if rain was pouring down. What it would feel like if my bare feet were standing in muddy pools of water. And I did that long enough in the silence till it became real to me. I could even smell it. And when I knew that it was real to me, I was complete. And they walked back to the place where they were living, and within a couple of hours, the rains came. I don't know what that story means to you, but what it means to me is sometimes we get caught up in what we say we believe and all the words about it all, when all we need to be doing is being in the feeling of what it is that we say we believe and want. May you be peace. May you be love. May you be well. May you be happy. Namaste.